Important person.
Okay,
Anyway, I
any other questions?
think that was all.
Do you have any more?
The only one I had on, but I asked John about it, the Cohen Goodwin, but that was for a mini split for the IT room at jail with the AC, with the one that was in there went out. So replace it to keep all the equipment cool. Computer, basically.
Okay, then, if there's no more questions. If there's no more questions, then we'll make a motion to approve.
Will we approve the accounts payable for 8/29 and 25?
Is there a second?
A second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
All right.
Motion carried. Okay, now on our agenda is the 2026 proposed budget. It could be all right. I have a phone call from, well, Forrest. Can we take a 5-minute recess so I can make a phone call to our K camp attorney? Would that be all right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make a motion, take a 5-minute recess so I can make a phone call.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, motion carried, be back in 5 minutes.
Hmm.
I don't, I mean. We don't have a, maybe once every 2 years problem. With other dogs.
Okay, all right. We are, recess is over. We're back in regular session. So the last item on our agenda is to go over 2026 proposed budget. So that's where we are.
I don't know. Oh, right. Thank you.
So here's a question for you, clerk. I got an email. I think it probably went to all of us. Looks like it did. No, it just went to me. He wants it read in the record. Is that something I need to do? But I wanted that.
So. My thought was, I don't know if this is close or not, that affects some people more than others, but if we went. Back to what we approved in 2025 and how it went from there.
Okay, so how did you get there? I mean, it is,
I don't think inflation is bad now as it has been in the past, so. If we could get by in 2025. Need to try to maintain that and keep that in line.
okay, so
So it affects some more than others.
So looking at our budget and knowing that we are going backwards, we're spending cash. And I'm not picking on you. I just need, instead of just saying we need to go back to 2025, you gotta tell me how. How are we gonna get there? We cutting newspaper binding? Are we cutting government forms? I mean, what are we cutting? Are we cutting salaries? What are we doing?
Well, if you just went back to what it is now, it would just be cutting increases.
It's gonna be way more now because we put $1 million in
Well,
of
that's
cash
not,
in.
that's just a starting place.
Okay. Whoops, sorry.
Way I figured that'd be about. $555,000 is about 2.4 mils.
Okay, now what are you cutting? You're down the line.
Yes.
Everything just goes back to 2025.
Basically.
Ooh, okay. All right, now we gotta do the math and is Scott Lloyd on schedule to be zoomed at 9 o'clock? Oh, I talked to him, but he never called. Okay.
He said he was, I talked to him, said he was planned on being on it now.
Okay, well,
Did Scott Lloyd reach out to you for a Zoom link? Donnie?
well. Okay, that's fine. I'll send him a quick text. So he was pretty distracted, and told me, and this is just for fun, in Lynn County, the meeting he went to directly after our alarm, maybe you guys heard this. So what we're not gonna do is political theater like that county did. One commissioner didn't show up and they only had two. And so essentially they couldn't get anything done and they just went back to the revenue neutral rate. So, I mean, people are playing some games and it's high stakes and he might have been fairly distracted because he was trying to absorb all that. Okay, so Bill, if we go through this and you say, let's go back to 2025, that's fine. But to just say we cut our spending back, we don't have any increases. Well, there's some increases in there that, I mean, we can't do anything about. I guess it needs to be more precise. So let's just go and Rich, what do you, did you have any ideas that are, I mean, or do we just start with Bill? I don't even have ideas.
Let's see what.
Let's start with Bill. Let's start with Bill. Okay. Lay it on.
I didn't go back and take out, look at each budget. I just,
Okay. Well, let's start at Commissioner.
I would go along with 650,000 this time, so.
So we,
Need it to the end, yeah, though.
I,
Let's need it to the end.
No.
though.
that's true.
We have our report available where we're at right now for the end of the month.
Okay, so one concern about it is the insurance. Did we haven't paid the insurance this year, right? Still going down that. Another thing.
our K insurance. It's at about 180,000. What was that money going?
You can say it's going to be used,
Okay.
so that's an issue. So. And then sheriff's, but another things increase, I don't know. Usually. How that works.
Okay. so your position, maybe we don't need to go through it line by line. If your position is we need to go back to 2025, then I guess that's clearly stated. You don't need to tell me how you got there.
I just went by thinking if you could make it through this year,
Okay, and so,
but Nikki's point is valid that we're not through this year yet, but last time I checked, most of them were pretty much close, so.
but aren't we making it through this year? Because we're pulling money out of we're still pulling cash out. That's how we're making it through.
Right.
All right, so in essence, we are not making it through. We're just playing the shell game.
But at the end, we're gonna have to come up, this is just lowering our costs, it doesn't have anything to do with our income.
Okay,
I mean, I'm not saying that that's gonna solve our problems,
I'm with you. So
that's just,
So you're wanting to adopt, and basically what you said on Monday was you didn't want to go over revenue neutral. All right, so that revenue neutral figure is what you're using at 12,287.06. Correct? 2025 adopted?
where's that at?
I'm just looking at the budget worksheet here. Oh. All right, if we're going back to no raising of anything,
285. Yeah, 12,287.
006. Okay, so
So actually,
That's not to reflect the true number because of the cash we moved in to offset.
yeah, so actually I came up with 12,423 or something. Which is more than what it was that time, but. I'm not sure which ones. Cause I didn't lower the employee benefits, I kept that where it was. And. But maybe it'd be better, this one. On the line. I mean. I'm just saying that, cause that's where I was thinking of, one way to. Try to keep things.
no, understood. It's fine. What did you do? So what did you come up with for a final mill rate then? You're at 36.5, give or take. Are you adding something to that or are you still?
Well, no, it's gonna be hard to get down that hill.
I'm gonna cut in here. Donnie, do you have a Zoom link that you could send to Scott? Okay, he would take one. He answered me there. Thank you.
Well, then. Yeah, I said the other way is, if you really wanna get down there, you can just cut everybody by a certain percentage.
All right. And we can. But it doesn't address the cash shortfall. Even if we cut, unless we address enough to eliminate, to offset the cash shortfall. That's the only way we could get there. And I'm not, I mean, there are some, okay, here's one, it's easy. It's under commissioners, but under K-Camp, and we talked about this and it was mentioned Monday. What if we cut the insurance on the auditorium? Basically $26,000 is what I said. That's a real, it's 26 grand. I mean, that's an eighth of a million.
Yeah. You're right. I think there's a bunch of county stuff that. We don't really use. I don't see why. I don't understand why we need like. Insurance on every piece of equipment we have.
Okay, well,
We need liability insurance, but some of those things. Just replace some of it instead of paying insurance on everything.
okay,
Well, the building over here, when we vacated the jail, we couldn't tear it down, we couldn't do nothing with it. So we sold it to get out from underneath of it, still had to deal with it and keep upkeep on it. It's same thing over here. But if we let insurance go and the roof goes and everything else goes, then it's just gonna become a dilapidated property that we're gonna have to deal with. Or the roof is the main thing I think we need to, we're just protecting the stuff inside.
I wouldn't advocate,
But we can't put no dollar amount on the stuff on the inside.
no, I wouldn't,
All history.
I'm not advocating abandoning the building. I'm advocating just get rid of the insurance at 20. Whatever the number is, it was 21, I think, last year. I just assumed since the valuation went up so high. Well, okay, so I assume it's gonna go up because the valuation of the building went up to, I think, $6 million. All right, so if we don't pay the insurance and, you know, that gives us essentially $26,000 a year to maintain that thing if we had to. In one way or the other.
Yeah, that's,
I agree with that. You take that way paying for insurance and put it aside and take care of your own problems.
But that doesn't change our budget. If we still keep that money and set it aside, then we haven't helped anything. We're just not giving it to KP. The way I look at it is if you're not paying the 26,000 every year, now I'm not saying put it in the savings account, but essentially in a way you've done that. You've not spent it. And you know, and I could be completely wrong, and next year we have something go through here and it needs $100,000 of work, and that's again. But. In my opinion, that building, it's my opinion, I know scope of fire, that building's gone, we just. Tear it up all away. I mean, it's just, as sad as that sounds, it's a historical building, and maybe you can't do it, but. You know, time marches on.
That's a lot of paying.
All right, let's go. Let's skip to you. Rich, what do you have? Just for ideas. We'll wait for Scott to get on here.
well, one thing I talked about was just the chip and seal and was just going on a four-year rotation versus 3 year. And there's some roads that we cut out, probably less than that, that are having zeros and we driving. But my thought, that would be about 300, if my numbers are right, $357,000, maybe that we could save. By going on a 4-year rotation. Or no more twos. Okay, and use up what we have in every district first. We got lots of twos. Get them down, work down.
What about going to a road and bridge county system? Are you in favor of that?
Yeah, I know it's gonna take time to implement, but yes.
I think there's labor savings there potentially. Now, if you go to a 4-year chip seal, would you? If you said saving 300,000, that means you're gonna take like 10 miles out. That's just how it do. Okay, what about if we just did a skip year? What if we said we're gonna structurally change the road and bridge department the way it even operates? Let's skip a year chip seal. Let's get through the structural change. Let's hit the roads where they need to be hit. You know, not skip road maintenance entirely, but just hit the real problem areas and get a new crew functioning, and then just hit it hard next year and get right back to our rotation. My understanding is a 4-year chip seal program long-term probably isn't great. I mean, for the lifetime of the road, the lifespan of the road. But skipping 1 year, we could probably get away with, you know, one cycle. So
Here's my doing if we just skip. It saves us $1.7 million this year. Next year, we want to go back to doing it again. We're gonna have to raise it. We're gonna come right back up with any money we save. We're gonna have to add it right back in next year.
No, you're right.
To get back on program, so.
You're right.
I mean,
But it takes it from a big jump to a staggered.
well, it won't be next year, because then we're gonna be behind 2 years on chip and seal, and if we have a road that starts going, then we're gonna have to. But I mean,
Yeah. No, I'm not advocating that if we take 1.7 million out, then we lower 1.7 million on the mills. That's not what I'm after. Maybe we split it. Instead of 9, we go to 5. And then if we pull 1.7 out, but we subtract 4 is basically $1 million worth of less, 900 some. And if we go to 5, maybe we can build some cash back in the road and bridge, and then, you know, you're right. There's no way of escaping this, that it's got to go up, but instead of 9 in one shot, we do 5, and then maybe we ask for 4.
so like Prairie Road. My plan is not to chip and seal it anymore. We're gonna save that money towards an overlay project. Because it's gotten so rough to chip and seal, but it doesn't smooth it, doesn't help it. So, And once we do once we do an overlay on it, you know, we're talking 7 years. But you know, if we did it from 240 all the way up, it's almost 9 miles. That we wouldn't be doing for 7 years, but that's what we're looking at. We're not gonna do that, but it's on our schedule for next year. We don't wanna do it, so we're figuring out the less rock that we need for that already.
So is that your savings? Is that your 300,000?
You know, that's on top, that's just I'm just talking about the overall for. That's just a cut that we're gonna make and wanna save that money back, but we need that money there. You know, I got 300,000 saved right now, but I need the money needs to be there to go into that project, so I can plan that project in the next 2 years.
How much chip look at that, chip overlay gonna cost?
Well, we haven't had an exact price, but I talked to Brady about trying to get us if there's any help anywhere. For an overlay project like this, and then try to figure out what that cost would be per mile.
Wouldn't it be a reclamation, just like,
You know, our base is good, we just need to. We just need to level the road and then put 2 inches on the top.
so they skim it to level it and then you come back?
And usually they put 1 inch down to level it and then they give it 2 inches. On top of this,
3 inch over.
yeah.
So 3 inches,
But they always do a leveler on it before they put the 2 inches.
wasn't it 125,000 an inch? Isn't that what we figured?
It's $270,000 for. That's not good for 3.5.
Per mile or total?
For 3.5 miles. No, that's total, 270 total. So.
Hey, there he is.
I'm not sure how it all looks doing that, but. There would be some savings there. There would be savings going on the 4-year rotation, but we just. Operator came back and we're gonna have to probably do. It could get us, we're gonna have to do twice as many miles next year if we start having breakouts. I have a problem.
We already
Skipping
skipped,
a whole year,
we already skipped some this year, but they need to be worked on before we do.
and we skipped 4 miles this year, 5 miles, 5 miles. You know, this is a road that we do every year because it's so heavily traveled. It breaks down, so we've kept it.
Scott, are you with us? You hear us?
We don't hear you.
We don't hear you.
Sorry, I thought I had it switched on. Yeah, I'm here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's things in the budget consultant world?
I've had quite a week. But anyway,
yeah.
we're here this morning at 9. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a special meeting to discuss budget
Mhm.
proposals for 26. Obviously, we've asked you to come along. So we are in just the beginning throes of this. Everyone's got some ideas. I'm gonna ask you, what would you recommend? So we have our budget worksheet, this 2023 to 2026 that the clerk came up with. It says it August 29th. I mean, I guess you just printed it today. Do you have a copy that looks like that with you don't have anything like that? Okay, my question to you is, Scott, then, do we need to go through each budget again, line by line? I mean, what do you recommend?
So, excuse me. So typically what happens once we get, maybe this would be more of like if you would have done this like 3 or 4 years. When we get done with the hearing, we take the last budget that was used for the hearing, and let's just like exactly what happened here, and you all would go through and mark up that budget with a red pen. You would say, let's just use one for example there. So on the budget, and we're just going to use county commissioners. Let's just say, let's go another one here. Let's see. This happened in Lynn County, the sheriff, the dispatch and jail. But you would go through, you'd pick out the areas you think are the savings. And once you decided on it, as you 3 decide, then someone with a red pen would just mark the lines that change. unless you have questions on changing that line. But what really happens is then when you change those lines and you send it back to us, we plug all that in and show you where that got you. And usually you can tell because like if you know this already because we talked the other day, but the 1 mil is 229,512. And so as you make those cuts, that's going to tell you very quickly. Let's just say you make cuts of make cuts of 5 mils. That would be 10 mils, it'd be 2.2 million. So half of that would be about 1 million. Then we would just plug in those numbers where you made the cuts and then give you a fresh budget. That's what usually happens, but you're new this year, so I'm willing to do whatever you want me to do to help you. But that's usually what happens is the clerk or the administrator would go back through with your help and say, these are things that change. And like Marion County, I did that there for probably 35 years. And that's just the way they would get it back to me, and Lauren and I would change anything that you wanted to change and get it back. You'd look it over and say, okay, yep, this is where we want to be. So we can do it any way you want here, whatever's easiest or for you.
We've been through it once and several times, but I mean, we go through the budgets. I mean, is there gonna be any major line items? We're down to looking at other items, we're back to. We could cut over a position on the second floor. It wouldn't save us enough to get down the revenue neutral rate.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, this is.
Typically, like this, typically the biggest cuts are, I heard you talking when I first got on, roads. But some point you can't really cut roads because you got to have people driving on the roads. And like I told you that story, Marion County, 25 years ago spent almost $3 million, and it was a lot cheaper then, and did 48 miles of 2-inch overlay, and different commissioners came in later. We had it set up to where it was going to be done the next time in 3 to 5 years, depending on the traffic patterns. We had about $6 million set aside to do that. And new commission come in and said, why do we have all that money sitting over there? We need to lower the mill levy. So what ended up happening is they transferred that money back to lower the mill levy. And many of those 48 miles went back to gravel, which is really sad because they spent all that money to do 2-inch overlay, prepare the base and do the 2-inch overlay. And, but you see that happening quite a bit because in the elected world of city or county, people have different viewpoints, just like, each one of you have a different viewpoint of what this budget should look like and what's important, to Brown County. But I get that, all the time, and I just put the numbers in that they want to change to, but that one's probably one, and they'd say that's one of the sadder stories of 48 miles of 2-inch overlay. Everything was nice. And then that 3 to 5 year rotation, they didn't have the money there because that next round of commissioners decided they wanted to lower the mill levy, and they had to go back to gravel. You see that happening some.
A lot of things unique about our county is the only roads we take care of the hard surface road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Lose them. Then it's
Yeah.
gonna cost us, if they turn back to gravel, then it's gonna take more operators, take
Mm-hmm.
machinery. to
Yeah.
get- Maintaining the gravel. But,
I think
feel
I
this-
think, okay, go on. Sorry.
If we cut out all the chip and seal this year,
Yeah.
next, it's gonna have, something's gonna have to come back to maintain our roads. We just can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cost us double.
Yeah. I might be speaking, I don't know this exactly, but I'm pretty sure at Osage County, it's been 3 years since they've chipped and sealed. They're more like you where they're a they're a township system where they don't take care of the gravel roads, except for, I think there might be a couple of them that are the main traffic ways, but they just take care of the hard surface roads like you do. But yeah, they haven't, I think it's been at least 3 years, might be 4, that they haven't chipped and sealed. So at some point, that's definitely gonna hurt them.
They haven't chipped and sealed a road in 3 years.
That's what they told me. I don't know. I can double check that for sure, but
A lot of counties don't have near the miles that we do in chip and seal.
uh-huh. Yeah,
So Scott, when you're on, you said the budget that we used,
uh-huh.
you guys, I mean, what I'm looking at is this copy from the 1st of July. Is that what we're using?
It'd be the one that we sent to Nikki. Lauren sent it that used to publish.
What was that? So, sorry, I was asking the clerk.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. No, that's fine. I just, I'll find it.
I can, I
We've
think,
got it. We've got it. I just, there's
yeah,
just a lot of stuff here.
yeah, sure. There's a lot of budgets. Yeah. But whatever one matches up to that publication would be the budget we'd have to start with. After you made several changes, before the publication. And,
All right. Okay, right on. Now it's in front of me.
okay,
All right, so let's just start at Road and Bridge because that's where we are and that's the first number I see. Okay,
let me say one thing before you get started here.
go ahead.
This is just an interesting example is your neighborhood revitalization program pretty active?
Not really. I mean. we
Is
don't
it,
have-
is
we
it
don't-
county-wide or is it in just blighted areas?
Countywide, 5 years, 75% rebate.
Okay. So if you have that budget in front of you, and I think I've told you this before, but if you look on page 21, it's the very last page, should be probably, or close to the last page before there's some other information we put behind there for us. But there's 1 mil right there. That's why I asked that. There's 244,369 on page 21, that right-hand column. That's what the neighborhood revitalization. So what happens is you levy the money, and then in those neighborhood revitalization agreements, that actually gets deducted back out after they pay the tax. So 244,000 goes back to those taxpayers in the neighborhood revitalization program. So there's like 1 mil.
But that's based on an estimate. You're saying we're gonna give back 244,000 in year 26.
Based on what the appraiser and everybody comes up with. Yes, that would be your estimate.
But
Because what you
everyone
do,
that's everyone that's already enrolled, Scott, like if I did something in 25, I mean, that's not affected, right? This would be new applicants to the program.
you have to ask your county counselor, but I think you could grandfather, going forward. Like Marion County, theirs got so expensive that they had a 10-year program and they cut it back to 5 here, probably about 5-6 years ago. And that saved them, I think that saved them like 1 mil maybe, just cutting it back to, but I don't know. I'm not an attorney. So I'm not sure how that works, but I would think you could grandfather the ones that are in the program, and then you would just change the program going forward. It may not be a direct, help immediately. I don't know, but I would think for 26, it would impact, that would be a way.
But is this really an expense? If they don't participate in neighborhood revitalization,
Mm-hmm. But what it does is it goes in, I'll show you, go to page. Why it's 1 mil is because if you go to page, let me find it here. Go to page 6, it's the general fund receipt page. And it's the 4th line from the bottom. And that it's 91,873. And that matches to page 21, 91,873. And what that number is the taxes the reason it does impact you, even though it's just certain people, that 91,873 in the general fund is subtracted out of receipts. So what it does is it makes your receipts go lower and it makes your taxes go higher to make up that difference. And I'm not trying to, I'm just showing you things that, you know, that you have in your budget that are impacting your budget. But yeah, that one's in 26, that would be in the general fund, that would be 91,873, and each fund that levies has that adjustment just like that. That's what that list is back there. Every one of those ones on page 21. Road and Bridge gets hit with 60,000. Employee benefits gets hit with almost 55,000. So that's it. I'm just showing you, that's another place. It's kind of, most people wouldn't realize it would impact the mill levy. They just think they're getting, you know, they're getting a payback of based on the program. But when you put it in the budget, it actually takes away from the cash reserves and slice the receipts. And that's how you end up with 244,369 less in.
But aren't we paying it in? We pay it in and then the county reimburses. The
Right.
taxpayer pays it in, the county reimburses.
That's
But
right.
The goal of a program like that is to stimulate.
Yeah.
development.
Mm-hmm.
So, so it's the long game, right?
That's right. Absolutely.
But short term, we could save some money if we just eliminated it, but we also might de-incentivize people to do anything new.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And there is, you might want to watch this. I'm not an attorney. I just heard this. Pratt has it. See, some counties don't have it countywide. And I heard the Attorney General's looking into it, that the statute may not allow a countywide neighborhood revitalization. Pratt has countywide, but I guess the Attorney General is looking into it because it was set up to fix blighted areas. It was originally set up to, like, if you had, like Marion had some old houses and just different things that needed to get, you know, fixed. So to get them back on the tax roll and fixed up and all that, that's why they set theirs up. And that was probably 25 years ago when they did that.
And we're the
Yeah.
same way. We have exceptions in the
Oh,
city.
you do? Okay. Okay.
There's a few exhibits that are attached to our plan. So
Okay.
when I
Okay.
said countywide, I misspoke.
Yeah.
There are some regions.
So
that are
yours,
outside the city.
yeah, so yours is what can be considered blighted areas to help get them. Yeah, so you're probably okay, but some counties didn't want to mess that. They just put it county wide. So you can see that's kind of interesting. So if someone goes out on a 40 acres and builds a $1 million house, and that's happening probably in Lynn County a little bit because they come out of Kansas City, they've got, you know, all that happening. Well, if that's under a neighborhood revitalization, that $1 million house gets exempted, you know, or comes under the plan. And that's what the Attorney General opinion says. That's not what this program was set up for. So, yeah. Anyway, back to whatever you was asking about roads or whatever.
Okay, so at our 9 mil to go up to 44,
Yeah.
we're raising basically 3 mils in the general fund. We're still taking
Mhm.
800,000 out of the bridge. That's right. So we're close to, we're still going backwards, just not as bad.
Not as bad, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
because if you look on page 7A, and this is probably pretty close to accurate. I mean, budget sometimes in the 26 column, you don't know if you're going to spend it all or not, but on 7A, if you look at those bold numbers of expenditures across there, we might even be a little bit, I told you, I think this the other day, but we might even be a little short in the middle column there on page 7A, 3,761,590, and you spent 4,063 in 24, and we're budgeting 4 million in 26, and that's with no cash reserve up there. You see the amount right above there is 0.
Okay, and so the 851 is what we're spending. We're spending all that cash.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Based on what the districts and what you're showing here. Yeah. And some of that, I think, if you look at that 26 column up there under administration, I think some of that was looking at maybe putting one administrator in over all the districts. So that might happen, it might not happen. Marion County had a county administrator like that stuck in their general fund for probably 8 years. The people voted against it. They didn't want a county administrator. And then the new commission, they went to 5 from 3. They went to 5 and they put it back in, and now they have one. So, just because it's stuck in there doesn't mean you have to spend it. But I think that's what that was. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. That's what I thought it was. Nikki, what's the delinquency rate running right now? Do you know? Have you seen that anywhere? Because we're showing the 1.2. I didn't change that, but that's what the budget's calculating.
But 600,000 would be extra.
In the paper, yeah.
I think in the road and bridge, that 80,000 you're seeing is for, in there's probably consulting with, B&G, because that's the dollar amount we have for that.
Okay, so those weren't added for across the board administrator then? That's what you're saying?
There's an $80,000 line item.
Yeah, I see that, yeah.
I would say that that's more apt to be what that is instead of.
You mean if we went to the supervisor? Okay.
I don't remember adding it in it. But it's listed here.
So Scott, on the same page, 7A,
Yep,
we see, I'm in the bottom right-hand corner, the
Yep.
expenditures of 4 million, tax
Yep.
required of 2.487.
mm-hmm,
So if we're spending 851,000 in cash. Should
Mhm.
the tax required actually say, should it be the combination of those two numbers? And that would keep that cash balance?
yeah, so what's really that's saying is anytime you adjust anything in the middle column, it flows over to the 26 column, either up or down. So what you're saying is the 851 is gone, and it's still there's still 2.5 million with delinquency required. You're right. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So just spitballing, talking ideas. So I'm advocating we skip a year, chip seal. And that's
Mm-hmm.
it. I think your figure was 1.7. Is that approximate?
Yeah.
So 1.7 million.
Okay.
But I don't want, I don't want to spend, I don't want to take the cash reserve down to nothing in road and bridge. My goal is to still gain and stay in.
Mm-hmm.
How do I make that happen? The math.
So what would have to happen? See okay. So if we're starting, let's look over here. Yeah. So let's start on page 7 and I'll just show you how it flows.
Okay.
So the 851 on page 7 at the very top of 26 column, 851, 634, that's the cash we were looking at in the bottom. I was looking here, we don't actually show delinquent tax. And I don't do that a lot because you never know what it's going to be, even though we've adjusted for it. I don't show it usually or show a minimal amount. So you could collect delinquent tax in both 25 and 26, and that would make a difference in your cash carryover, okay? But it's usually a minimal amount if you're not, that's why I asked what delinquency rate really was. But then you go to motor vehicle, you go to special city county highway number, the 561. None of those are probably really going to change much. They'll be pretty accurate. The 60,000 negative that I was talking about earlier for neighborhood revitalization, and then miscellaneous. So when you start at the top of page 7A, you have 1,512,217. What you have to have happen here to get you cash carryover is those numbers below that 1,512,000 down to the 4 million. Those numbers have to be reduced. That's one option, okay? Or we're 8 months in, we're 8 months into 25. The only other option you could have is in that middle column. If you didn't end up spending what you think you're going to spend. So like, I don't know how much, say for example, the chip and seal, are you thinking the chip and seal is 1 year, the 26 is the year you skip, or do you have still some chip and seal projects in 25 that you could reduce or not do?
So 25 is essentially over. but
Over, okay,
We are
okay.
building back inventory, planning on running in 26.
Yeah,
Which you wouldn't necessarily have to do. And some of that I think is factored into this year's budget, right? I mean, you guys are
Okay.
running rock in, or we're all running rock in for next year. We're spending
Uh-huh.
today's money for next year's project.
yeah, okay. So you're stockpiling it basically.
Yeah.
Okay, we're
Mhm.
back a little bit. So last year, I took like $800,000 out of the budget and put it in capital outlay or whatever.
Uh-huh, yeah,
And I figured that that is what's gonna pay for a lot of the projects this year.
okay.
So hopefully that wouldn't have to take that much out next year.
Yeah, so if you look on page 16, I think this is what you're talking about. Page 16, the first column, there was a transfer of 855,364. Does that sound right, Bill?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Where you
And
at, page 16?
on page 16, the first column. So
Okay.
you start with 2.7 million. You transferred in 855,000 because that's what the projects you were talking about. And I think the projects end up being about 1.1 million. We were estimating that if you go on down that column.
Well, that's,
And, or is
okay.
that in 24? Are you talking 24 or 25? You're talking about the 25 year?
At the end of 24, we took what was left over in 2024 and put it in capital outlay or something.
Okay, I don't see that. I don't see that number there.
I don't know where,
Because
Maybe.
I'm looking at, the transfer I'm looking at is, yeah, 24. So what you're talking about is 25. Yeah, I don't know,
it wouldn't be 25, it would be. Where does your capital outlay show up in your 25 budget?
page 16. It just,
That's the total.
that's the total, and there's no activity in 25. If we need to adjust that. See, capital outlay, I mean, capital improvement by statute, you only have to show actual, which is the current year 24 in this budget. And I always put 25 and 26 if there is activity, but it's not required by state law. But I don't see anything in the middle column. So if there's a transfer that we were supposed to have shown there.
Tell them what happened.
It happened in 24 is what Nikki's saying.
Oh, it happened in 24. So the 855, it happened in the adjusting entry in the 24 before the audit was finished. Is that what was happening?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, okay. So it's there, Bill. So the 855 is in there. And then, but what you're saying is you're taking another 1 million in the middle column to do your projects. Is that right? In 25 here?
No, I
Or
thought
the-
I took the 800,000 out of 24 and I was wanting to put it into the 2025 to use it for them.
Yeah, it's already in the cash. That's what Nikki's saying. That your 855,364 in that first column was transferred at the end of the year or before the audit was issued, which is allowed by state law. So that 855 is in the cash carryover at the end of 12/31/24. And what I was asking, when you move over to the 25 column, which is the middle column, I didn't see any expenditures there. Is that the 1 million or 1.1 million you're talking about for your road and bridge expenditures in 25 here? Or is that 26?
We're gonna spend part of it this year.
Yeah, yeah. So we can show that. There's nothing wrong with showing that. Uh,
But what, I guess what I'm saying is, but if we end up with about the same amount left over at the end of this year, we wouldn't
Uh-huh.
have to. But maybe you already accounted for that.
yeah, I'm not sure in the 25 column.
To have that, then we take 400,000 out of our budget, miscellaneous line item and other things, we're not gonna have near the cash. that we have
Mhm,
there.
Not near as much, but we could have some.
mhm. So I had a note here about that rotation. I must have I must have written it down at the meeting or something. 4-year rotation saves 348,000 going from 3 years to 4 years. But you're saying it saves how much? 1.7 million?
That's if we don't do any chip or seal,
If
nothing.
you kept a 3-year rotation, but you just skipped a year.
Oh, okay.
You just do it all at once, you know.
Uh-huh.
So when I look
And-
at this capital improvement,
Yeah,
seeing things here, so I see current year estimate at the unencumbered cash balance, we have 2.471 million at the end of the
Yeah.
year for
Mhm.
this year.
yeah.
But
yeah.
the way our budgets, we're spending all of that.
No, it's just the way it is right now. I don't show any expenditures in 25, and all we're doing in 26 is we're just giving you budget authority, okay? That 2.4 million, that's just budget authority. But what I was saying is you don't really have to have budget authority in capital improvement fund because all that's required is the actual. You can spend it whenever you want to in capital improvement and not violate the budget.
So then do we have 2.4 million?
So at the start of 25, I believe that's correct. You have 2.4 million. That's what I was asking. Do we have any expenditures year to date in the 25 column? And it sounds like we do, some of Bill's projects.
Yeah,
And then the office weed, that's gonna go way down. Building.
for the building.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
Okay, the number I had in my head was we'd end up with around $1.2 million left in there. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's kind of number I was.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
So I saw that zero and it made me,
So all we have to do, we didn't probably get this in here because it doesn't affect the mill levy, but we can go in, because this budget, it's not finalized yet. We go in and if you can find me that number for the middle column where it says 0, and then what will happen is that will be changed by, like you said, probably 1.2 million, and you're down to 1.2 million then, okay? So you'd put 1.2 million in the middle column. You'd start 26 with 1.2 million, and then you would show 1.2 million where the 2.4 is in the 26. It's not required, but give it more accurate, so when you're talking to people, and that's why I started doing these 3 years, and even going to the 5 to 7. There's some that have this page right here taken to an Excel spreadsheet that shows 5 to 7 years spread, and it's spread by the different departments or the different areas, of a city or a county. And that's very transparent. And what the statute requires, if you're going to do a capital improvement, you're supposed to have a 5-year plan. And that's where I've taken it. I don't really have a plan written that you put on the shelf. I just take and put 5-year plan in Excel, and but that's something that could change every day. Somebody could say, "Oh, we need $100,000," and you change it. But you could actually put this capital improvement from here in that 5 to 7 year plan, and it'll be by department, and so you could track. And what's nice about that is some departments may have capital improvement they're never going to use. So then you show that they don't really have a use of it over the next 5 to 7 years. So why do we have it? That's a question that gets asked quite a bit. But that's not something you have to do today, but I would like, if you want to get that to me, I can change that middle column to reflect more accurately where you're at.
Okay. Yeah, just be an estimate. Yeah, so much of that is an estimate of projects on the table, but yet to be completed and billed out.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
We just keep a running tally sort of on a piece of notebook paper.
Hmm.
When I saw that zero, the zero is what concerned me, the zero.
Sure. Yeah,
Uh,
you have complete budget authority in 25 under the capital improvement statute. You could spend that whole 2.4 million and not change your budget. That's just the way the capital improvement, equipment reserve, and risk management funds are set up that way so that you have ability to adjust on the fly without having to worry about the budget.
Yeah, but in an environment where don't want to deplete, we actually
Yeah,
want to
hey.
build cash. We don't want to do that.
No, that's right.
We don't
Absolutely.
want to kick the can anymore. So, okay, so please walk me through this math. So back to
Okay.
road and bridge, back to road
Yep.
and bridge. We said we are spending 851,000 more
Yeah. Yeah.
than we're taking in. So we're still going the wrong direction. All
Yeah,
right?
because it's in that 1.5 million at the start on page 7A. It's in that 1.512 million up there at the top of that column.
Right. So if I wanted to cut the chip seal program, but I
Mhm.
wanted to set aside, say I just wanted to take $1 million out of that.
Mhm.
I want to cut the chip seal 1.7.
Yep.
I don't want to go backwards on the cash,
Yep.
but I want to leave some money, say,
Mhm.
say 500,000, say $750,000
Mhm.
to actually do road and bridge, maintenance and some repair and things like that. I don't
Yep.
want it to just do nothing. What,
Mhm.
can you walk me through the math on that and
Yeah, so
that
so
actually
what
save us? If we don't
so
spend 1.7 million, but I don't want to spend 850,000 and I still want to allocate 750 for road improvements, am I basically just saving us $100,000 on the
yeah,
tax?
so what you'd have is if you got when you actually did this, you'd have to go into those bold numbers, District 1, 2, and 3, and you would have to adjust it by 1.7 million. Okay.
Mhm.
That's just it to me, keeping everybody on the same page here, in any county, you would just go in and adjust those by that. And then what you're wanting to do is add back, you said what, 750,000?
For actual road repair and maintenance this year.
Yeah, road repair. Okay. So there we're setting at just a little bit under 1 million. Okay. The savings was 1.7, but you're going to add back 750. So there we're setting, and let's just round it off for that purpose. So now we're down to 1 million.
Mhm.
And then, because it got added back, and then you want to save put how much cash in the zero down there?
Well, if you just kept the 850, if instead of
Okay.
trying to spend that, say that's our goal is 850,000.
Yeah, 850. Then you
We
have the
just-
150,000 that you're saving. So
That's
you're not even saving 1 mil.
You're not even saving.
That's why this gets so complicated, and it's a long game. This is really interesting. I'm not going to tell you who it was, but I had a county commissioner I worked with about 7 years ago calling on the county. He just got voted out at the end of this last year. And we had set up the capital improvement. We had set it all up, and it's amazing. They stuck to it. They have 5.8 million in their capital improvement fund. They have 400,000 extra in their risk management fund because we set that up to help with offsetting like increases in health insurance or property insurance or whatever, different types of risks. And they followed it to the T, and they have 2.3 million setting in their general fund. And he got kicked out, and I'm not going to go into that because that would kind of give it away because of a certain decision, because people voted him out. But we were just talking about strategy and what happened over the last 7 years and where they're at today. And they don't have the current commission was wanting to raise 2 mills, even in that environment. Okay. And he had been trying to get it down a little bit and still save money. Because the long game is it's exactly what you saw on the bottom down there. When you keep the mill levy the same, you start burning up cash, and you said that worksheet spoke to you more than anything. But what they did, they actually tried to use some of the assessed value increase or whatever and keep it going up a little bit instead of going down. And they're in it's probably one of the best, that's the best county I've heard in all these conversations that's going on right now. And this is a big thing right now. But that one, it's worked so far. And there's a road they wanted to do for right at $1 million. It's a dirt road, and these people built, they're going to end up being probably $800,000 houses. And they didn't honor the contract when he got out. Because it didn't get signed appropriately. So they took it out, and these people had started building the houses based on this decision. So that's why he called me. It's just interesting to watch these models. Each county's a little different, but that one, if you're wanting to build cash, it's not going to be easy. I mean, I'm just, that we've already talked about it, but just like that right there, you're saving 1.7 million. You've got 750,000 of road repairs that have to be done.
That's just a guess.
I know. I'm just saying. And so we're down to $1 million of savings. Million of savings would be roughly 4 mills at $1 million, a little over. And but then to build cash back, you wouldn't have to do, that'd be 850 would be about 3 mills, a little over 3 mills, three
But
and a
it's
half
also,
mills. Mhm.
the reason I do that is because that 850 is half of the chip seal project. And see, I'm assuming in year 2027, we pick right back up. And then
Yeah.
we're able to do that. And we've got half of it,
Yep.
and
Absolutely.
I mean, you're still spending cash, but
Mhm.
what I'm trying to get to, Scott, is where we don't have to go for 9. Can we do
Yeah.
this for 4? Can we do it for 5?
Yeah, sure. I
There,
understand.
and then next year, though, we're going to do the same thing. The 9's got to come from somewhere, or the 10 or the
Yeah.
14, we talked about,
Yeah.
but maybe we do it in terms of another 4,
Yeah.
or,
Yeah. Yeah. That's what we had to do at Pratt. We did about 4 mills because they lost their assessed value, and they still had they're down to their minimum services. And so this year they did stay at revenue neutral. Now they have a little different scenario there. They get 1.7 million on windmills, and 1.7 million is exactly what you're talking about here. That's right at 5, 6, probably 7 mills. Because theirs is actually less than yours. Theirs is 188,000 a mill, and yours is 229. But they're generating quite a bit that way, and that's a political thing, whether you do windmills or not. But anyway,
I'll be right back. So if we do this, and we say that we get the 800,000 there, and then next year we have to pick it back up. We got that cash there, and we're taking ourselves right back where we are this year.
mm-hmm,
We haven't gained anything.
no. Mm-mm. What did Atchison County finally decide after their hearing? Were they gonna go back and work on it some more?
Yeah, they're going back and working on it more. That's just,
Okay, yeah, because they were 11, what were they, 11 mills?
11 or 14 that they're over the revenue.
Yeah.
They're
mhm.
about identical to what we are in the same boat. Their neighborhood realization is about 600,000 of their.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they're simply higher than what we are, and that's becoming
Uh-huh.
them, but
What's one mill over there? Do you know? I didn't look it up.
I don't know what their 1 mil is. I didn't look that up either.
Was part of their reduction, do you know, when they were talking, was part of it reduction of assessed value, or it's just they were out of cash?
They're out of cash too, but I don't know about, I didn't hear him say about
Mhm.
that's value.
Yeah, I was wondering how theirs turned out on that, because that's what's happened to some of these, like, where you're losing the assessed value.
Look, well, I have a question or a thought.
Okay,
All right, so if we're talking about road and bridge,
uh-huh,
and I know it was mentioned in the meeting the other day about if we was to add a sales tax, like a 1 cent sales tax.
yeah, mm-hmm,
I don't know what that would bring in, but my thing is, we did that, and everybody that buys in Brown County, whether they're from Falls City, Seneca, or whatever,
mm-hmm,
just went to the road
yeah.
repair, the chip and seal.
So
road.
I forwarded that, I think, to Nikki. Did you get it, Nikki?
Yeah.
Okay. So Brown County currently has a 1% sales tax. In current year 2024, distributions were 1.98 million. From January to August of 2025, distributions were 1.35 million. So already in 8 months, it's generated 1.35 million. I've asked Amy at the state of Kansas because the question I have, I'm not an attorney, but I can't remember. This 1% is countywide for just like, I think everybody, they each get certain shares of it. So I was asking her if you could take and get a 1% sales tax just for roads. And I think you can. I think you can do another 1%, and that's the max. So if that was true, countywide from 24, that's 1.98 million. It's almost the deficit of the 9 mills. And what that does, I mean, these are conversations you have to think about, but what that does, I just thought about when I drove past your new truck stop over in Fairlawn. That thing is, I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff going on there. So everybody that comes through Highway 36, if they're like me, stopping to get something or paying, whatever you're doing, they are helping you pay for your county. And you see that quite a bit in McPherson City has that. Like they have a consolidated road plan, McPherson City does, and they fund a 10-year sales tax to fund that. And I think theirs is 0.5% because they have a lot of activity there. But that you see that quite a bit. And I'm getting ready to, with the help of Gilmore Bell, I'm setting it up in Burton, Kansas, which is a little bitty city, but their sales tax, it's amazing what it generates, and they have a lot of activity on Highway 50 that comes through. And then just yesterday, I was down in Comanche County, and this shows you the difference. Their 1% sales tax is 363,000. But what we're going to do with it is they have no jail, they have no sheriff office really. They have no fire. I mean, there's nothing there. So they're going to go in and use that potentially to fund a building that has the sheriff, emergency management, fire, all that in one place. It'll be probably a building of about $2 to $3 million, and they'll use sales tax to fund that. We're working on that. The
We
kicker on.
used to have a half-cent sales tax that paid off our jail,
Mm-hmm.
finished paying it off, that went out, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah. So she'll get back with me. She's really good. Amy's really good. She'll tell me yes or no if that's doable. But the thing that changed in the last statute or last session is you can only do it 3 times. You can only do elections. It used to be do a special election anytime you wanted. You can do the election as a special election. I believe it's the first Tuesday in March, and you have to start. Usually it's 45 days. I can't remember exactly what it was, but sometime right after the first year, you would have to start kind of getting all that. County clerk would be responsible for, getting the special election. special elections sometimes don't draw as many, people. But in 26, you would also have the opportunity to do it at the primary in August or the general election. So there's probably, we were talking yesterday, they may wait and do the general election because more people would be there. That could either be good or that could be bad, more people showing up. But that's the new law that just came into play with this last session of the Kansas legislature. So that's kind of the numbers, but 1.98 million, I mean, that's a chunk of change. And what some do, you can either put it directly into your capital improvement fund, and then you would put it as a line item for roads. You could do it into its own fund where you call it sales tax roads, 1%. I believe that's what Jackson County does. I don't think they have one. I think theirs might be 0.5%. But anyway, it goes in there and that's all it can be used for. And I think they use theirs for buying chip and seal. They're 0.5%, I think it is, but they use it to buy chip and seal gravel, the materials. There's a lot of different ways to do that. But to me,
Got that would put the city of Horton at 10.5%, the city of Hiawatha at 10%. I mean,
Yeah.
sales for all the
Mhm.
businesses in here. I mean, I don't see that ship sailing too far anyway.
no, it's not an easy sale, especially if you have car sales. Like in Marion,
They're gone.
Marion County, that I don't know how many times it got voted on, but the jail got voted down a couple times with the sales tax. And but they finally got it in, and it paid for the jail, like you were saying. It paid it off a lot quicker than I think they had it paid off in 8 years, and it was a 15 or 20-year bond. No, I'm just giving you options. I'm not telling you one way or the other. But
No,
that's
you're doing wonderfully. Just
Yeah.
we're just in a pickle here, and it's
sure you are. But you have to.
I really.
But
So I'm still sitting here, Scott, at my 1.7 mil
Yeah.
on skipping the chip seal. But
Yeah.
if we're still not trying to spend cash, and we're still not saying we're going to walk away from these roads, all
Yeah.
I've done is come up with $100,000. That's like 0.5 mil that we could take off. So instead of 9, we're asking for 8.5. So,
Yep.
so if I'm stuck on that and I wanted to move on, I need to come up with 3.5 mils in additional cuts to get me to that 5 number where I think we can make that work.
Mhm.
But I don't know if the guys on either side of me would vote for what I want to do in Road and Bridge.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're not
But you've
making any
got-
progress.
you've got the math right, Lucas.
Okay.
And that's why literally it's hard, but what you have to do is just go through and any of these suggestions, you just look at, divide it by 229. Any suggestion you have, you divide by 229, and that's the impact it would have on your budget.
Okay.
So if you're, let's just say you're wanting to remove a department that maybe is not required. Well, let's say it's 250,000. All you're really saving there is a little bit over 1 mil. And then I think these are things I've asked commissioners in the past, that one office, this came up. I'll just give you the example. Lynn County. We had the CEO and the 5 program people in front of the commission, and the chairman of the commission, this was back before the hearing, this was back maybe a meeting or 2 before, he had them all come because he had been talking to, they have a 6-county area mental health, okay? And mental health is a big thing, but he was saying that the way they're going about it's wrong. He did his research. The CEO was getting paid somewhere over $500,000 to be the CEO of this mental health organization that went 6 counties wide. So all the commission in those 6 counties actually voted to lower that. That's an example. But see there, you're not going to get, I think it was 150,000 appropriation, and they lowered it to, I don't know, I'm speaking off the top of my head here, but 98,000. So see, they're only getting 50,000, but he was doing that one because of principle. He felt like the organization was charging too much, so he was going to make a statement. You see what I'm saying? There's so many different ways to look and slice and dice. Some of it is truly to get mill levy down. Some of it is, yes, to build cash, so that's why you have to keep it there. And some of it is a matter of principle to say, why are we paying you 600 or 500,000 in your organization? And he had a pretty good explanation for it. They were kind of the state of Kansas example of how to spread this out through 6 counties instead of 1 county. I mean, there's just so many different scenarios. But I would suggest, I know we've got, today is August 29th. Take the last budget you have, and if you change the middle column, reducing it, just like what we did right here on the road and bridge department, you reduce the middle column, or you reduce the 26 column, that is going to reduce the mill levy. Unless you decide like this right here, where you want to keep 850,000 in cash. And you do this, what you just did here with 1.7 minus 750 minus 850 to get to the 150 is what you would have to do on every fund to see if there's any mill levy savings there under your 3 making decisions. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's messy. It's like, I've heard this before. It's like making sausage. And I've never made sausage.
Nobody wants to know how that's made. That's what they say.
Yeah.
Ugh. Okay. So what do you got?
So in our road and bridge now, still got $1.5 million left in our budget, looks to me like.
And that's what date is that? What is that date as of? Is it end of July or?
Yeah, July 31st.
Okay, so what happens, Bill, and I'm just speaking generally here. Those bills that come in for all the road work you've done, and road work usually doesn't start till about May or June, I mean, in that time period, really getting going. So what'll happen is on those budget to actual reports, they'll be a little bit behind because the bills all haven't come in and been processed. And you may not get the main bill here till September, October. I don't know. That's what happens in most counties. So you have to kind of figure out from the road and bridge departments, and you guys would know better than some because you're the managers of each of the districts. I mean, but that's what that budget to actual, until it gets down to about probably the end of September, might be a little skewed because of all the projects going on. But you told me chip and seal was done, so maybe not. I don't know.
So
That's
that didn't count the rock we need to start buying, but I think the oil's pretty much all included in there.
Yeah.
So
So how much is the stockpile of rock that it's probably not in that number, is it?
Well, typically we start now, when we can, we start hauling rock just to get it in, because a lot of times during the winter, we can't haul it because of.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Trying to get out of the truck, so we haul it when we can.
So I don't know what the total rock price is. How much do we spend on rock a year?
That's a good question. I don't know.
My question that I was gonna bring up earlier, just remembered, is when we talk about our chip and seal, we signed our contract for our oil already for next year. Yeah, our oil.
Oh, okay.
That wasn't for this year?
This was next year, isn't it? This year.
Surely we're not a
This
year in advance. We did that back, that was one of the first things I did, like February.
Rich, I would guess it would be this year because
But we always-
under cash basis law, if you sign a contract, that contract becomes an encumbrance. And it technically, now in your case, if Lucas signed it in February or when he came in, it's gonna be used this whole year long. But if you would sign that contract in advance for next year, it would have to be picked up as an encumbrance. And that would go right against your cash. So I'm guessing it was 25's oil, but I might be wrong. I don't know.
It's all right, it happened.
Yeah. Come on. I just remember signing it and.
Yeah, no.
That far ahead.
So, okay, so when we go through our budget workup, we get budgets, and you probably saw them, just the raw proposals with the
Yeah,
contractual commodities, personnel, all that stuff.
yeah.
So
Mm-hmm,
so if we go through this budget sheet, which we're looking at on email, which you sent us,
Mhm.
or looking at online, and you said that the middle and the end column, do
Yeah.
we go through? So how specific do we need to be? So we were talking about the insurance on one of these buildings here that's under the
Right.
commissioner's budget.
right.
Do I have to say specifically, we're not paying that bill to the insurance, or do I just take the 26,000 and just subtract it from that commissioner's budget? How do we
Yes.
handle that?
Yeah, so it would be very helpful to us. You remember how that email I sent probably with the budget after I was there the first time? I went through and put bullets of everything I changed. Okay, now that maybe seemed like a little extra, but what's nice about that? So like I do this with Pratt. So like if you took out 25,000 for the auditorium, you would have a bullet there that says and we've kind of done that with Nikki. She's done that. You know, we went through and here's the adjustments that we make, but you would just go through and say, we're going to take 25,000 out of the contract services. Let me get back here. Hold on. I was on Road and Bridge. So we would, that would probably be under contractual on the commissioners. So if that was, is that for the insurance for 26 is what you're talking about? Is that right?
Uh-huh.
So if it's contractual, which it should be, 420,720 is the amount. So what I would see if you change that, you would just draw a line through 420 and you would reduce, say minus 25,000. And why the document is really nice to just go through and bullet what you're changing, then it kind of double checks us to make sure we're not reducing it more than we can. But that one right there would go to 395. Roughly. Okay.
I'm on page 6B.
6B, yeah,
Page
sorry.
Page 10 on.
Just back and take those on.
Put maybe on my spreadsheet.
But yeah.
All right, and so for our benefit, we just go there with the red ink and we draw an
Yeah,
arrow and
yeah,
make a bullet.
mhm.
But then for our purposes, as far as recording that, then do we go back through on the budget sheet and then that KCAP number just changes? You know, how do we follow that through the process so we don't?
Yeah. So that's why I do the bullet sheet. That is kind of the summary of all the changes you made from today to whenever we change it. Then this is where it gets complicated. How are you going to communicate each of those bullets back to the departments that already turned in a budget? That's where it gets a little complicated. That's where you almost, if you're going to make, you know, and you probably are, massive changes here, you might have to have another meeting with them and say, here's what your budget was of $100,000 that you turned in. Here's the 4 categories that you turned in. Nikki has that worksheet, you know, that you're talking about that has, you know, each of the totals compared to last year or whatever. And then you would have to have an adjusted sheet and say, here's your 4 lines you turned in. Here's the 4 lines now in the budget. Or you could wait and there still has to be communication, but when we get all those changes made, we give you a clean budget and you could actually work off that clean budget and say, you know, the county attorneys, instead of being 190,000, it's 175,000. And they would see that there, but there still probably needs to be some kind of a communication with each department head. That takes, I've never figured out how to do that cleanly. That is, because what happens, we make all these changes, and then the department heads get their budget and they go, how'd that get changed? You know, that's the, I think the hard thing over all the years I've done this is how to communicate that to each department.
So if I'm following this right, we're sort of on our own now to make these things with the red ink and the bullets and.
If you want me to help you, I'll be glad to help you. I will be honest with you. I think I told just Lucas the other day, you know, this contract was for 25,000 and I'm probably setting at 40 or 45 in time and I'm not charging you, but you know, that's that's
Yeah.
why it gets complicated, because every change, you know, and every time you come back and everything, I'm not complaining. I'm being very real with you. And I'm very gracious with the first year client because there's a lot of questions. I totally understand that, but I'm glad to help. You, however you want to do it. I mean, if you want to you want me to come back and we go through each department, um, that'll take quite a bit of time, but
I think we should just go through it on our own and
All right.
talk, it's not like.
Well, we just, essentially, any change we make, you're gonna see anyway. It still affects
yeah,
you, regardless of whether you're sitting there on Zoom watching us or not.
absolutely.
All right, so,
And it's Lucas, there's just no easy way to do this, to go
Oh, sure.
from, I mean, Rich kind of saw that with his one sheet, you know, that he gave me from last year. That's what really had to happen. It's a little different with them because you use cash, you know, from whether you used it from your capital improvement, certain balances, you use cash. But, you got any question, you just holler, but that's really what has to happen is you three need to decide which lines are going to be reduced, and they just get marked up, and then
Okay.
we plug them back in, and then we come back and say, and then what I would do is, you know, that sheet that I used when I first 2 or 3 times to come up there, where it just has the one page and it shows the mill levy from each year, and then
Uh-huh.
it showed the difference. So when you get done, what I do is I go through and show you on that one page where you're at, you know, and it shows, and it's really easy to show people, you know, like these are the cuts we made. Here's the big picture. And then each of these line items is where the detail is shown, and they can see that. And then what the department heads are going to have to do, and Nikki, is that like contract services, they're going to have to go in to specific line items within the computer and make those adjustments so that you can come up with that sheet that Bill was looking at earlier on comparison of budget to actual. You know, because they're going to have to figure out which line to pull out, because they probably already got contracts signed on some of this stuff, is what I'm guessing. I don't know when does your insurance renew? Is that on that, like that building? Is that coming up, or K
End of the-
Camp, or
End of the year.
end of the year? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think we'll have to keep a certain amount on there for liability and. Cause we got people touring that place. You have to have something on there. Can't
Mhm.
just drop it, I mean.
You can drop the property side of it, but not the liability. Yeah, and we're not even sure we're gonna do that. So
Yeah. Mhm.
we've got to hammer this thing out. We got to go through this.
Yeah.
All right.
That's really what it takes is see, and I know Nick, I'm not anything against Nikki, I'm just telling, but like Tina Posterior was a clerk. We would get kind of to this point, or even before the budget hearing, and there'll be things I didn't know. I mean, so she'd go through and she'd mark up based on communications with the commissioners. These are things that, you know, they want to change, or we need to change, or this is not going to happen this year or next. You know, it's a lot of it is it going to happen in 25 or is it going to happen in 26? So if it was going to happen in 25 and you put it off to 26, that gives you more cash in 26. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? So those are the types of decisions that really kind of you all have to make. And then we tell you what the impact's going to be once we put them all back in the budget. And if you got questions as you're doing that, you text me or call me, or I'm glad to try to help.
All right. Okay, yeah. I don't have any more questions. I mean, not that I know of at this point. So,
But if you just remember what you just went through and told me on this road and bridge and how you calculated that, that's
Uh-huh.
really the calculation that has to be done on
Every-
each fund. Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
but philosophically, I mean, my goal is still not to spend any of the cash that we have. My minimum
Yeah.
goal is to not to get to spend any more of that.
Right.
So
Mhm.
that's why.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, all right.
And I told you this the other day, I think, but they stuck like at Comanche County, and they're gonna have a come to Jesus meeting, I believe what they called it, on Tuesday, because they gave a raise to the road and bridge of new road and bridge director of, I think, $5,000. And the rest of them, what they did to get their money, they went from revenue neutral of 162, I believe it was, 14 mills down. And they lost two and a half million in assessed value, but they wanted to leave it at the mill levy last year. But because of that loss, they went up to 162, I believe it was. They went through, and this is another, I've done this now twice, where you go through the 25 column and you cut 2% off the column in the middle, and 2% on the 26 is what they did. And that got them about 12 mills. And that was an across the board cut. Now, some cuts you can't make. For example, like if you have a bond payment, they have a bond payment. They can't cut that because they got to pay that bond payment. Or they had a situation where dispatch was all payroll. So they can't cut people in dispatch because they've got to have the number they have to be able to pull off dispatch. So there'll be a few of those like that, but that's how they got down. And then they moved this building we're talking about. They'd been saving it. They moved it out of the middle column and the public safety vehicle out of the middle column. And that got them 225,000, and they moved it just to 26. So that there got them a lot of, and that's how they kept their cash the same and also reduced their mill levy to get to the same mill levy as last year. I'm kind of rambling there a little bit, but there's different ways like that to do that. And then what the new clerk, she's brand new. She's gonna have to go in once this budget's set, which it will be probably now, and take that middle column of all those adjustments of 2% to each department and put in a new budget number. And that bill, that what he was looking at on that budget to actual, that new budget will be the new adjusted 2% reduced. And that's how they'll monitor it from now till the end of the year to make sure that those savings were actually, the 2% was actually saved. I don't know. It's fairly complicated, but they're in hurt. I mean, they don't have any money. So that happens. I had another situation where another county I was working on, the deputy appraiser got a $4 an hour raise. And I'm not sure if the rest of the county employees may walk out. I'm in the middle of that right now. And I'm not laughing. I mean, this is just my job, but so you're not the only, I mean, it's complicated right now. It really is.
What
We
I
sus-
understand, just talking to people in different counties, I mean, Brown County certainly is not alone. Actually, it's a fairly common theme.
Yeah.
Atchison County, I think, is asking for 16, maybe over. That's what I heard yesterday. I can't really believe it. I thought it was 11.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make, just because everybody else is in the same boat, doesn't mean we shouldn't try to do something about it.
No, but what this is why I say it, Lucas, the legislature needs to understand that you guys aren't just spending money to spend money. You're trying to survive. And that's what I don't know that the legislature, they don't have a revenue neutral rate at the state level, do they?
That I know of, but I'm so consumed with local politics. I don't have time.
No, I'm making that statement because they have billions sitting there, that, I don't know. When they were out of money 20 years ago, they called me, not me, but through these different steps on the school districts. And they said, we're not going to give you your year-end check at June 30th until 5 days after the year end, because that way we don't have to show a cash basis violation because we're out of money at the end of June 30th. And so what happened with a check, that's okay because there's float, and you don't see float anymore, do you? So they changed it to July 15th, did that for 20 years and made the school district recognize that they don't have the money really at the end of the year until they get their money on June 15th. It was a one-time adjustment and they kept it that way. The last year they changed it back because they got all this money sitting there now. So they made that adjustment back the other way. So all levels of government, move
We're
money
trying to do
around.
this without any tricks, without the shell game stuff. You know,
I know, it's just,
the
yeah,
general fund's going up, but the road and bridge is actually going down. So in reality, we're not doing anything.
that's right. Yeah.
Okay, well, it's wonderful. Do you have any more for him? Anybody? I mean, I'm looking around. We're just gonna have to, as much as, we're just gonna have to go through it.
And you have a meeting tonight at 5:30?
We do, and if I read the budget sheet right, and I'm not advocating this at all, but if we can't do anything, if we don't get anything done, I mean, October 1, we're like, boom, we just go back to what we had, right? Is that the assumption? Worst case
If you,
scenario?
yeah, if you can't reduce any, you mean get the mill levy reduced or anything, yes, you would just use whatever was published. And
Yeah.
that would have to be approved. You know, that bottom part of your little scroll
Yeah.
there that we read through, it says, who votes for it, who's against it, and then
Uh-huh.
sign it. Then you sign it, and that's when you give it to the county clerk to go forward.
If we don't come up with any sort of cuts, then what
Yeah.
we're gonna vote on is that the revenue neutral hearing we had on Monday, that's our budget.
That's right, absolutely, yeah. And that would have to be done in an open meeting. yeah.
And open meeting, and then certified by our clerk and
Yeah,
then,
and then the treasurer takes it from there.
but then we still have the opportunity in any departments that we control
That's
to-
right.
savings if we had.
So
to.
like, let's just say, right now, you just can't do enough homework to figure out if that department needs a person cut, whatever. So what happens is when you go, let's just say you get down to November, December, or even into January and February, and you say, okay, this is what's going to have to happen. We've done the study. So when any cuts that you make in those line items, that would go directly to cash.
Yeah.
Okay. Then when we did the 27 budget, you would have more cash to put forward into the 27 budget.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
You know,
That works both ways if we do it before or after.
Yep. Yep.
One would be in 2025, the other would be in 2026.
That's right.
okay. Thanks a million.
Thank you. I hope it helped. I know it's not easy, but it sounds like you guys got a good handle on it. You know what you're doing. I mean, there's some people don't understand the discussion we just had.
Well,
Yeah.
we're sitting at about 80%. How's that? East.
Uh, yeah. Well, I'm setting at 70, so you're better off than I am. Okay.
Well, maybe you should pay us then, huh?
Oh, the problem, I'm gonna be really honest with you, this is a public meeting, I'm sure, but they're working on putting a second bathroom in my building because of these training sessions that's coming up. So they got my other bathroom shut down, and I was hoping this meeting didn't go much longer because I have to go up to the house to go to the restroom.
Okay, all right. Well, perfect timing. Thank you very much. Talk to you later.
See ya.
Thank you.
All right, do we need to take a little recess then? Yeah, okay, let's recess I make the motion recess for 3 minutes, 5 minutes? 5 minutes. So been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. 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 Okay, 5 minutes. Do you have anything you wanted to casually mention, David? While we're just in recess, having a conversation?
It's hard to sit here and not name.
Yeah.
If you go with your idea, not gonna be tip and fill, for a whole year, I mean, why do we even have road and bridge through way off, let go over the one that's working there?
My idea is they're still gonna do maintenance, David. There's still a lot of rough spots and areas in the roads that need attention, but needs more manpower than rock. And we got some ditch work, we have some signs, we got some bridge. I don't know what the technical terms are, but the approaches or whatever
Right.
that still need, we have rough spots in the road, we have springs, things like that we could spend next year on a countywide basis addressing that, and instead of just the blanket chip seal. So it still takes a labor, and we still have to have somebody push the snow and to do all that stuff.
Well, we got a few of those short archer spots, and I mean, that can all be cut out. They're not there, I'm trying to, but. going to bid by.
On what? What'd you say?
The short stretches to say half mile, hard surface that we built it, at a different bid size. Say bumps,
That's the business. I mean, that, they got, okay, this is 10, 15 years ago, maybe it's 20 years ago now. I believe there's a policy. And maybe Brown County's rescinded that if you were a business that did so much increased revenue, maybe.
true, do we still chip and seal that every few years?
Every three, and honest answer is I don't know, Dave. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that would be something, we can keep that out.
Yeah.
I think when they did Grimm's a mile for them up there. And I think the township pays for that when they do that.
And maybe that's how we'll keep bumps. I don't know. I'd have to add.
And I think, that someplace up there by Robinson, I can't remember just what road it is. But there, we did the county did a chip and seal short ditch up to that bin site. And then, things like that. I don't know how many more of those things there is.
Well, sometimes like on a reservation, we do some of that, but then they reimburse us for it. Or like the city, so if the bin site, one guy was wanting what we're sewer, and I think he would have paid for it. But.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's a county deal, but maybe,
But it's privately funded.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Anything else, so?
Oh, there's a couple things that I thought of through the, well, listen, but I can't think of very much of them.
Need some paper right now, stuff.
Yeah, no, it's tough. Trying to find, we can all find these 10 and 20 and even $50,000 swipes, and we should, but it's just not adding up to where,
It takes a lot to make one mill,
you know.
you know,
Now my dad says this, and I think he's right. Anything we do this year and we think we've solved a lot of problems, we're gonna be right back in the same boat again next year. It's just.
Yeah.
I mean,
it doesn't go away.
it just doesn't go away. Taxes have always been too high and I mean, it seems, but in an environment where everything we touch, is worth more. Just, I mean, you can understand how it happens that way, but the frustration amongst taxpayers, I think, is that, there's some things that they observe, just like you and roads to, you wonder why that happens, or you see some things where, you're just not happy about the way things are being done. I mean, we got to fix those problems, but I just don't see how it solves this dilemma we're in now. It's just, it's
And
lifestyle.
if you start with the, county improvement, then,
Capital improvement or whatever.
yeah, or rebate.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, maybe that's right about it. The way I remember that is, if you increase your value, 10 grand, you need to apply for it.
Yeah, it's 15, but that's an incentive program to get people to build. I think the clock, 10:26, so thanks, David. We don't ever intend to cut anybody off, but here we go. So we're out of recess, back into regular session here. All right, we got off the Zoom with Mr. Lloyd. All right, here we are. So it sounds like we need to go through this. If we look here, this 6B, which is the page I think everybody's on. Yeah. On the budget sheet online. And we just need to walk through this thing. Looking for cuts. If those cuts exist, so we can just start at the top. Okay. So when I did this, my notebook with my notes from when we went through all this stuff the first time. I see a. I see that we will. Make sure I do this right. So I see a salaries for county commissioners at, instead of 83,880, I see an 80,130. And that figures, we reduced all of our salaries from 27,960 apiece to 25,960 apiece. Then we added back 2,000 to District 1 for committee work and added 250 back to, for, that's a monthly meet committee times 2 committees. And then added back 250 to District 2, which is me, and that's because I have 1 quarterly meeting. And then we didn't add anything at District 3 because you're not in anything that's after hours. So, I mean, I think that's right. I think that's what we agreed to. So there's our first $3,750. Does that sound right? To everybody? Did I do the math wrong?
Better get, we're the 101.
Well, that's for 2024. I'm just looking at the proposed budget for 2026. And the current year estimate, is that just, why is that number so low? That just seems wonky. Nobody,
Well, I thought we'd getting around 25,000 apiece and. How did we ever come up with 101? Is that just the 3 commissioners? Salary center?
well, that's for 2024.
Well, but. 101, 75, and 83, that we're independent.
Yeah, I am, but I'm just focusing on the 2026 because that's the number I'm after. I mean, if we can ask questions about that, we'll just be here longer. But go ahead.
They would see that they don't let their, for everything, so they're whatever.
Okay. So, and bear with me here, but we're gonna. Is there a way on here to keep this window open, but go back? Or not?
I haven't
Okay,
figured that out either. Let me see if it does it when I pull it back up. If you just go back to your, if you keep it open in your email and you just go back to your email, you can. So if you just
Should come back
swipe
to
it
the same
up.
thing.
I was finding it in my meeting minute.
Okay,
Okay,
I pulled it up in my email so I can.
I'll get there. Um. Nikki, is it possible to get a hard copy, a printout of this page 6B and 6C?
Not their fault. Like their time.
Okay. I'll take that. Then I can maybe. And how much time did you allot for this process?
Oh, wait, we're getting-
Okay, okay. And this is the whole thing. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is just bounce back, go to the commissioners and look at this budget worksheet that was in our 2026 budget file. And I have a salary in 2020. That's a little weird, 27,960 per commissioner. And that gives a total of 83,880. So I have in mind, and I thought we were agreeable to this, but if I'm wrong, let me know. That, I thought we agreed to that, to the 80,130.
Yeah, probably.
You lost your notes? Oh, okay, that's all right, we'll get there. I tell you what, going back and forth, it gets a little overwhelming. And then under pressure, it's even harder.
Well, we just kept it the same as 2025. We didn't reduce it.
But we did. I mean, we did. What we reduced was the base salary to 25,960. And then we added back in for committee work. That's what I thought we did.
Talk about it, but
Maybe we never did it. That's fine. That's,
I didn't have any investment. Really.
and that's fine. If we never, I mean, my notes aren't, they're not gospel.
Oh. That's probably, I'll cut up with it.
You're on the same page.
So,
Okay, this is, right,
thought we got increase our salary this year, and I thought 24 it was less.
we used to do 25,880,
Yeah,
and then you put 2.5% in or whatever the.
right, whatever. Cost of living was.
Yeah.
So are we going back to 25,880?
I just took $2,000.
That's fine.
That's all I did. Okay,
Okay,
now
but you
here's,
guys are reimbursed more.
okay, now here's what I want to know though. So amongst this body right here, do we need to make motions every change we do here? Or are we gonna make the changes just by consensus? But what if consensus is 2 versus 1? Do we need to make a motion every time?
Well, I don't know if you can make a motion. The motion will be to the change and
Okay.
all the change overall.
Okay, let's
Just a
just,
consensus.
let's say that you guys agree on something and I don't. And then so we come for the general budget and so, well, who votes? I guess it's still 2-1, but what if that's one of those issues? Like, I'm not over that, and then we can't get the thing passed. How does that work?
That's, I mean, that's a big issue.
I mean, if we went through. Okay, if we go through this budget and if we do this line by line thing, and if every change we make, if we make a motion on it, and if it passes or it doesn't pass. I would assume then that at the end of the day, we're gonna come up with a number where we have a budget that will vote for. I mean, is that the wrong assumption?
When we put it back in, is it gonna be budget?
Yeah.
We'll come up with different numbers, but I'm gonna assume if we go through it as. And do this thing and something passes, then it's in there, but if it doesn't pass, then it's not in there, but at the end of the day, someone's not gonna stand up and say, well. I got outvoted, I'm not voting for the whole budget, that's what I'm making an assumption.
Well, if there's a consensus, when we go through, I wouldn't think anybody would do that. I mean,
Well,
I think we would be.
Hopefully, but
it's a gentleman's agreement then is what it is, I'm not sure if it changes anything functionally if we make motions. But it'd just be,
no. It's a, I mean, I'll try it. I'm trying to.
you're slippery, Bill. All right,
Well,
what do you want to do then? Just tell me by consensus, do you want to make motions on every change or do you want to
Just
just?
to be the first year we've ever done that with all of them doing the census.
Okay,
Whatever
right.
the majority is,
So you're satisfied with that? We'll just
that's
keep
what
the
we've always
status
done
quo.
in the past, but.
Okay, so then, okay,
Anything can happen when you go to approve the budget.
well, that's what I don't want to. I don't want to fall prey to politics here, you know, when the actual time is put to put ink on paper. All right, so. Line, go ahead.
so go ahead and with what you got there. How much?
Okay, so what I've done is I've lowered the total. This is gonna be bullet points, so we've lowered it to 80,130. And the salaries are all the same at 25,960, but we've tied $1,000 to being on the Kansas Mental Health Board. And we've tied another $1,000 to be on the District Health Board, is that right? Is that how you call it? The
Health Department. Board.
Health Department Board. And then we put $250 for being on the Northeast Kansas Environmental Services. That's what we've done. Can that be tracked? Okay, so that takes the county commissioners' salaries from 83,880 to a new number of 80,130. Okay, and then he's got it here. Let's just go by this. It's a little out of order, but you go, Schedule C will go to contractual, which is,
Okay, well, let's back up a little bit.
yes,
Show me what your base salary was again.
25,960. And then $1,000 for the cans of board.
Just how much all
Uh,
of it?
and-
2002,
Yeah.
15.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
good.
all right. Okay, so now we'll go to contractual, which is Schedule C on your budget. That's the next thing. So we have a big 427. No, so my first one is under that K camp, the dues and contributions, which is basically the insurance. Call it contribution, but we do pay dues to be a member, right? Yeah. Okay, and I don't have the sheet in front of me now with all the insurance stuff, but on my. And we actually projected 230,000. Yeah, yeah, but so that number didn't show up in our proposed, because well, and that number may need, if we choose, if we don't decide to drop the insurance, that number actually has to go up to accommodate. Yeah. And then we need.
Already puts us at $20,000.
See you, David. Thank you. Come back tonight. Mhm. All right, and I had thought we had taken okay, let's just stick where we're at here. So we made an accommodation for that, but somehow it didn't get into this piece of paper. Is this piece of paper, but it shows some of the changes that we made. We just have to go through it. Okay, so is there anything else when we go down that line? Do you remember? And I don't think we made any other changes under contractual. Because they're all just,
If we get down to the fuel card, we could probably put that, but was that?
well, that's a little, yeah, did Hiawatha, did they pay their half? Has that taken effect yet? On the fuel cloud, I mean,
We built.
okay, so I mean,
Is that 1470? Was that the full amount or is
that's
that
total. So you can cut that in half.
so much?
Take it. All right, so that's $735. So we could subtract 7. Boy, it's gonna be hard to record all this. All right, I saw here. Okay, the Northeast Kansas Area on Aging, Agency on Aging, that donation. What does that actually do? We had a letter in there. It was. I mean, is that something we need to continue to do?
There are the notes that you want to move to services for the other. Out there, but.
Okay. I mean, they're gonna just swapping. Okay, the Glacial Hills, that, I think we can do that. We haven't paid that for several years. And that building, I've been down, I actually got a call from, take a look at that. It's sort of,
But we haven't been paying that? Right?
it hasn't been paid. She can't hear you.
We don't pay, I thought we've been paying those glacial hills every year.
Maybe it was.
They don't come in anymore.
No, I think we just remove it.
Oh, okay. I thought we've been paying it.
Is that agreeable? To you guys? Okay,
If they don't come in next week,
yeah, it's just remove it.
December.
Okay. So we got, all right, we're at 37.35. Okay. commissioner's mileage, is anybody getting mileage? Do you guys, I mean, I don't know, I'm not just asking, yes, no?
Just if we go to something, but. I haven't been to anything lately, but they moved the meeting to December, and
I mean, Bill, do you charge mileage? Yeah, I don't, yes, but I don't wanna cut you out if somebody does. You wanna leave it there, 500?
Where's that at?
Under contractual, I'm still on page 4.
Page 4.
Yep, I'm trying to make this simple, we just go right down the line.
There it is. Sorry.
So it's only
Okay.
$500, you can just leave it if somebody uses it, all right. Now go to the next page. Yeah, what's the deal there? Page 4. Okay. Anything there can be changed?
It really costs $5,000 in a copy machine. At least copy machines at $5,000 a year. So
That's the one that, get paid for heaven or
It says attorney copy machine.
the week.
probably so,
All right, so.
depending on what kind of.
So we had 420, 720, but that number wasn't accurate. We need to make it. To reflect the actual insurance, we need to raise it.
Last time it was 199. And I don't verify, where it's like 15%, 25.
And you had it in one of our meeting packets.
I don't think I have it.
look at it every day, but I don't work life. Oh, well.
Metal. Medical. That's our post, and then we got unattended deaths. And we have 40,000, we got 40,000. What actual spent last year?
Needs to go up.
Wondering and wondering lose. Depending on that unattended deaths. Last year, it was bad.
Yeah, I didn't have anything in my email about ATM. I did see the 199. There's some previous meeting.
We've got Catholic City mortuary, that one is not unattended death. It has to go from here to Capital City for cold storage. For an autopsy, and then they're the only one that can transport into voluntary process.
Basically, down to the year, so, so, all these changes will result in an average of 8 to 12% increase And there's, like, membership.
Or
Just
just,
that would be for the, foreigner problem.
What are you talking about?
this is, yeah, it's
Okay,
back to.
okay, sorry.
So I didn't, and they sent it in an email or they sent it, is it in our meeting minutes somewhere?
Where's in the, it's in the package.
Yeah. What if I told you I didn't have a June 24th? Then you got 23rd. That's it. There it is. Good job. That is so odd. That thing is by the calendar, it's out of order. It skipped it and put it right at the, whatever. Okay. Okay, we it could, you let the Lloyd Grove know it could be possibly another 20,000. So essentially, if we decide to drop that insurance, we've done nothing. We've kept it the same. Yeah. Okay. And somewhere in here too, they also sent out a revised appraised value schedule too, which showed us the valuation changes. All right, so now we're back to budgets, commissioners. And, okay, so then if we assume 210 is gonna go up 10%, then we just gotta leave 210 there. But okay, first off, what do you guys think on the insurance?
So you got a list of the machines and stuff. How much is all that?
So machinery is actually really affordable. That's,
But are there some of that stuff? That's a building.
I may be missing a page. So our total contrib, you know,
The building.
so I have a sheet that has just the buildings 2025. And then I have a sheet that it's incomplete with a line item of equipment.
Some of these trailers and stuff, I like. Who has this trailer? This trailer, I'm not sure this trailer is even here anymore. We need to go through this. Cross off.
We usually do, I think the trailer, I want to do, but it doesn't show up, don't do it by a certain date. Because I don't know the all, and because it went on for the way, like we. I mean, we take off.
Okay.
So in an effort though, so, okay, Bill, so I thought the same thing. Why do we have all this stuff insured? But when you look at what they charge, I mean, if we wiped it all out, I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, but it just doesn't add up to anything. I mean,
Right.
like the insurance on $120,000 international. It's $1,200. And I mean, that's
Well,
big, but
If you're using them, driving them.
Yeah.
I see that. But if it's, well, I don't know what. Trailers and some of that stuff.
yeah.
I mean, anything that has liability, each liability.
If we made changes to this, though, we could account for them, but the actual changes, we need to have them come in and work with them, right? Or do we, can't?
I can submit a change, I email it.
Okay,
See what the.
okay. Because you're right, you could go to, well, I'm just not gonna, on this 2008 Ranco trailer, we're gonna have liability on it, but we're not gonna do physical damage. You know, you could do that
Yeah, that's what. That's what I was,
if you want it, yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
But I never what, liability. Much any insurance at all except for liability.
Okay, so, but the task at hand is, do we, on this building, it's 20, I had it here in 2005, the Historical Society building, They had it valued at 6.7 million, and I did round up a little. It's actually 6.68. 6.66, and the premium is $21,229. If memory serves, we got a reevaluation on that property. They took it up to around 8 million. I think it's 7.8. And so I just kind of assumed insurance would go up to 25,000, give or take. So we're already behind 10% here on what we have written down because of the timing of this. So that number should really be about $230,000, maybe even 232.
Everybody, well, pretty sure he thought that, it's not really good, I'm sure of that, yeah, but, say.
So are we as a group here, are we okay with, if we're okay with not insuring it, we can leave it at
So,
210,000.
one time we talked about the roof and the windows, yeah, or
Can't do it. I got an email from her, from a lady at K Camp, and I'll show it to you.
well, that's all right.
Well, you need to see it. So good afternoon, Luke. This is from Melissa Heron. No, you cannot only insure a portion of a property. If you have any questions, let me know. It's very direct. As I asked her, can we insure roof and windows only? So, question asked, question answered. All right, what do you think?
So I'm all right picking that.
Okay. I'm all right with it too. Rich, what do you say?
Take the insurance
Take
off.
the insurance off. This is the part where we're gonna, I mean, it's gonna have to be a gentleman's deal, because
I know we're looking at saving dollars, but right now we got a good building, and if we take the insurance off and we have a hailstorm come through, and then we don't have the money to fix it, we don't have the cash sitting there to fix the roof for $25,000 sitting there and destroyed all of our history and all inside the whole building.
well,
Is it-
so if we're making proper budgeting, we're not taking this down to the, you said 25, but you have the cost of 100, I mean, we're to fix a roof. I mean, my intention is not to get us down to where we're just running on fumes every year. We would have that sort of money built back up in commissioners or wherever fund to. I'm hoping to save, I think spending the money on insurance, I think it's a bad spend. I think it's a building that we just don't use. It really has no, I mean, it has value, but it's a lot of money just to throw down a hole.
They said you can't do partial insurance,
That's, yeah. I was.
so that includes the liability.
Well, no, liability. I didn't ask that, but if you have a vehicle and you don't take, collision, that doesn't mean you can't take liability. Let me see. Yes, separates it for contents, which we don't have any contents on that. And it separates it for building value, but I don't see anywhere in here for liability. But the county, would we have a general liability policy? That would cover, if somebody trips and fall out here on the courthouse, we've got a countywide policy for that.
So I'd cover that building too, right?
Well, it's I do know.
And you're fine on that. Yeah. Okay, so basically we're 2-1 on this. But do we move forward?
That's the way it would work.
Okay. Okay, so if I do this math right, I'm gonna take the number that we had, which is the number that was presented, because it didn't reflect I'm gonna say dropping the insurance accounts for the increase in premium.
There were some other buildings out there that could probably not be insured too. But whether or not, well, like the caboose, it wasn't very much, but they said he's getting rid of the caboose anyway, so
Boost is
not much, but it's,
$323. No, $23.
but that, see that, they didn't add that much, but
That's what the insurance thing, other than the courthouse they got, and this is 2025, is at $36,662. That's the $10 million building and almost $900,000 in contents. That's what it costs. Then the auditorium's at 21,000, and then the jail is at 21,000.
all this and more.
And all the rest of them, then there's another big one is the health department. But it's at $2,700,
and they value it at 700,000, and it's got some contents. And then they have the Bruning barn, you know, which is brand new, and it's $1,500. So, yeah, that's just, there's only one that stands out there, and that's the Historical Society.
Right, so it's just those.
You know, because no one would let me drop the insurance on the courthouse, I'm sure, right? Everyone's, no, okay, so,
everybody else got new courthouses.
well,
No.
some of, yeah, anyway,
I
let's not
agree.
go, okay, so I'm gonna leave 420,720 the same, and I'm gonna subtract what we did there. And it's not much, but minus 735 for the fuel cloud, and then minus 3,000 for the Glacial Hills, and that makes that 416,985 under contractual for the commissioners. Is that agreeable? It's not a very big change, but
Say that again, total was,
the total is 416,985. I mean, we are just dancing around the margins. Okay, now,
say it again, 46.
416,985.
41,000.
416,900.
Oh, that's your total.
Yep,
Okay, 416,000.
yep.
I thought it was only how much you're addition. So.
And that number will be, you know, I mean, it's subject to a little bit of change. because we're just- yes, okay.
There's contracts.
Now, really. Somebody really needs to be keeping excellent notes here. On what we're actually doing. Do we all need to be doing that? So.
That's just the contract.
Next is commodities.
So, all right, one more question.
Go ahead, don't be
So that
shy.
416, did we take the insurance off of it?
So the insurance bill, this,
Okay, it's going up, but we took it off that auditorium, but it's going up anyway, so we're keeping it.
yeah, we just kept listening. No, that's a good question, because it's a little confusing. Okay, now I'm under contractual, no, I'm under commodities,